Hey Cancer, welcome to your monthly reading for March. Let's dive in and see what March has in store for you guys. Messages for Cancer for the month of March, please. Messages for Cancer. All right, we have inner child healing, wounding, coping mechanisms, learned behaviors, and self-discovery. So at this time, it might be a really intense energy of healing some inner child wounds. This may be things that maybe you didn't even realize were things that you were affected by and played out, in ways in your life that you really didn't understand. And so this is trying to say, get back to a state of just being really kind to yourself, really going back through some of those times in your life where maybe, things just weren't, good for yourself. They weren't really emotionally fulfilling and kind to you. And so this may have been situations that have played out since you were a child. This may have been situations that played out in relationships, but it looks like you're really getting clear on some of these patterns that have played out that have been, situations that were due to conditioning, ways of believing things should be. This can, for example, play out in a way of saying, hey, I grew up thinking that I need to get married, I need to have kids, I need a white picket fence, I need to have a dog, and I need to have two cars and live in this great neighborhood and have this job with a great title. So these are all things that can play out in our childhood dynamics that can create a little bit of an inner child wounding. These are usually situations that put us in positions where we didn't exactly feel safe or comfortable, or maybe seen or heard. And we just didn't even notice that they played out negatively in our life from that point on. But this looks like you're in an energy that you're starting to become clear on some of these patterns, some of these conditionings and things you're starting to question and wonder, do I even believe in this anymore? Is this even in alignment with where I'm at? Is this something that I still want to play out in my life? And where did this even come from? So it's a really good energy to be in, but it's really, it can be a really tough energy to be in. So I do have a lot of compassion for you, Cancer, at this time. I've been there, I've done that. It's not easy. So, just give yourself time and grace and love at this time and allow yourself to have those emotions come up and feel the way that you need to feel. You have the right to feel that way. You have the right to feel safe. And some of the things that we can do to reconcile some of these situations that have played out in our life that have even created that wounding us in the first place is to go back through those memories and those times and experiences and redefine them. Redefine them in a way of how would we want those people or that person to have treated us in those moments? Would we have wanted them to make us feel safe? Would we have wanted to feel heard and seen? What would we have wanted to happen? And then give yourself that, okay? I have the path coming out. And this is saying, again, you're getting really in alignment with your soul's journey and your soul's path. And the more aligned we become, the more, things like this come out. So, we'll only be given what we can handle. And so that means that when we go through healing, we'll make a lot of progress. And we can sometimes be like, oh my gosh, I've been healing forever. It's been years, it's been months, it's been forever. When am I going to be done healing? But we're never really done healing. But what we are doing is we're making steady progress. And usually we're only given off, a little bite at a time so that we can process this, especially when you're dealing with inner child wounding and healing. It can be very, 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 very intense. But it tells me that you're on the right path on your spiritual path and journey, and that things are really coming together for you. So even though you're feeling these things, just make note that you're going in the right direction. Just because things feel a little bit churned up and uneasy right now doesn't mean that you're not going in the right direction. This very much is telling me that you're on the path, you're exactly where you're meant to be right now, and everything that's playing out is exactly the way it's supposed to be. So just give yourself time and grace and allow yourself to move through those energies and be okay with them. Just say, hey, I'm feeling sad today, I'm feeling upset today, and this is why. And, kind of allow yourself to just move through that energy and allow it to pass through you. Just don't get too caught up in that energy and think, I'm upset, I'm sad, whatever, fill in the blank. You just don't want to get too caught up in that. Just give yourself grace. This can be a very emotional time where you're doing a lot of purging and clearing and purifying. And, we store a lot of our traumas from childhood and our experiences in life in the actual body. And so when you're dealing with inner child woundings, these can be very, very deeply rooted in ways that we never expected. Okay. And they tend to surface in ways ways that can be a little bit jarring, a little bit surprising, and can make us feel a bit unsettled and unsteady. But, just kind of take faith in knowing that this is exactly what's supposed to be playing out for you, because it's just getting out all that kind of ick that you've been holding on to that is blocking you from, certain experiences, situations, relationships, opportunities. It creates a block in the heart chakra that can really kind of slow things down and keep the energies from flowing the way that they should with you, to keep you aligned on that path. Okay. So just take note that you are on the right path. You're exactly where you're meant to be, and things are going the way they are, even if they feel a bit uncomfortable. I have cherishing and suppressing here. Okay, so this can be an energy that plays out where, especially when we're dealing with childhood wounding and we're dealing with energies of the past, what happens is we go into a bit of a survival mode. We don't even realize that we're in this survival mode. And so we're never really truly relaxed, but we just get used to that state of being. We get used to feeling uncomfortable, unsafe, unsteady, and we just kind of think of it as normal, but really it's not really normal at all. It's a way that we kind of suppress those feelings, and so that we can kind of move on. It's just like a natural human nature to do that, because at the end of the day, we need to survive. And so in order to survive, we really don't have time for these emotions to really kind of be coming to surface, and, needing to deal with this or that, or feeling unsafe. We'd never really get out of bed in the morning if we kind of let those things overtake us. So what we do and turn out of that survival mode is we tend to suppress those feelings. And so what this is asking you to do is just kind of, as you're playing through this purging and inner child wounding and healing, is to, also take note of some of the positive things that have played out. Take note and cherish some of the positive memories that you've had and experiences that you've had. Maybe look at those situations and those relationships that have played out, instead of just always seeing them as negative, regardless of how it happened or what people have done to you, or whatever's happened. Is maybe take a look at that situation and see the gift that was given in it. Because even though we're going through challenging situations and relationships, there's always a little bit of a gem, on the inside of it. So once we kind of get through those situations and process them and move beyond them, we can look back in retrospect, and we can allow ourselves to let go of them, to forgive ourselves and others in those situations for, they only know what they know at the time, and so do you. And so just go easy on yourself and allow yourself to say, what kind of treasure did this leave me with? What kind of person have I become because of this situation? Am I stronger? Am I more confident? Am I more independent? So take time to kind of honor those memories as well. And that might help in this process where things aren't just feeling so negative and down all the time, where you're replaying some really tough situations and memories and energies that might be coming to surface right now. Let's dive into the tarot and see what is playing out for you, Cancer. So recent past for Cancer, month of March. Okay, I have the Ace of Wands. Okay, so this is really this call to action. This is saying that you got this little bit of an energy where it's saying, hey, you know what? I'm tired of this. I don't want to feel this way anymore. Something inside of you got lit and ignited, and it got you to kind of take action, whatever that may be. So it got you to take action in a way of saying, all right, now I'm on my path. And in order to kind of keep moving forward, I just kind of need to pull the weeds from my garden right now so things can grow and prosper. So it looks like you got a bit of an energy here, which is allowing you to kind of move forward and gain new strength. You might be just kind of getting a little bit of your energy back from having done significant purging and purifying. Okay, let's look at the current energies for Cancer for March. Current energies for Cancer. All right, we have the Ten of Wands playing out in the present energy. So again, this is putting down a really significant weight. A lot of times these energies that we've built up and played out in our life can really wreak havoc on us and feel like we have the whole world on our backs. And so this is an energy in the present where you got a fire lit in your belly and it said no more. And now you're in an energy of putting the burden down. So you're processing through these situations and really offloading, and you're really reevaluating your life and what feels good to you and what doesn't feel good to you. This can be usually when this is kind of this energy that you're in, it's that it affects almost every situation in your life. This can be work related, family related, friendships, significant romantic relationships, marriages, things like that. And so we begin to get very, very, very clear on what feels good to us, who feels good to us, and what doesn't. And then we begin to offload and prioritize the things that do feel good to us. Because when we are feeling very, very inundated and overwhelmed with these burdens, the blessing in that is that, we now can be like, enough, and get so tired of it that we finally offload it. Okay. So this looks like you're offloading some burdens here, which good for you. Near future. All right, I have the Four of Pentacles. Okay. And the Four of Pentacles is telling me here in the near future that it's just kind of, keeping to yourself, keeping your own energy. When you're purging things that don't feel good to you, you need to be in a space where you're feeling comfortable and calm and safe. And the energy of the Four of Pentacles is an energy that can be one that is just a little bit guarded, but guarded also in a positive way of saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to be really, really, really selective on where my time and energy goes to. And it's not going to go to the things and the people and the places and the situations that are no longer making me feel good. They're no longer uplifting. They're burdening me. They're making me feel not good. I'm not excited about them. And so I'm just going to kind of, guard myself a little bit here and protect yourself. It's a really good energy to be in here. I have the Emperor coming out in the overall energy here at the bottom of the deck. And what this is saying is this is that, fire that got lit here with the Ace of Wands in your belly. And it's saying, no more, no more. If I want change in my life and I no longer like what's happening in it, I'm the only one who can make that change. I'm responsible for that change. I'm not going to sit around and wait for it to play out for me because it just never will. This is you taking action and doing so in a way of, I know where I'm going. I know what I want. I'm very clear. And this is it. And this is not it. And offloading those things that aren't and heading in a direction that is. So right now in the near future, just being in that little bit of a guarded protective energy is just protecting your precious time. It's really, what you have that's most precious to you is your time, your love, your mind, your energy, your sanity. And so just kind of sit in that energy and take comfort in that. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's get a little bit of advice for you, Cancer, for the month of March. Advice for Cancer for March. I have the Knight of Cups. Okay, so we tend to get in this energy where we're like all business. We're like, we're offloading, we mean business, we're serious, we want to be happy, but we also kind of get so wrapped up into it that we get a little bit kind of closed off in a way that we aren't actually happy. So the process can be extremely challenging. And so what that can do is create us to kind of go into that hermit mode where we kind of close ourselves off. And then we just get so focused on offloading that we just never really find joy in the process, or we just no longer find joy in our day-to-day life. And so what this is asking you to do is really make sure that you're, expressing joy and gratitude in your life, really looking at things in a way of, what do I have to be grateful for? I might be offloading a lot of these things, these situations, these people, but, what do I find joy in? And really sinking down into that heart center and being on that path of, the journey of the heart. With the Knight of Cups, it can be an external person and people. And this can be you expressing that gratitude for those friendships and those people that really are loving and supportive and kind to you, and making sure that you're expressing gratitude for their love and their support in your life. But this is also having that same energy for yourself, being loving and kind for yourself and treating yourself kindly and being in a way that you're only doing what feels good to you. So the advice here that you're being given for the month of March is just make sure that you just continue on a path of joy. What brings you joy? What makes you feel good? What evokes happiness in you? And that's the direction you need to go. There really doesn't take much thought to it. So don't get too caught up in the thoughts of what you need to be doing. Just go with that energy of feeling what feels good to me. Okay, so that's your advice, Cancer, for the month of March. Let's take a look at what's hidden, what you might not see. What's hidden for Cancer for the month of March? Okay, I have the Three of Swords coming out. So, what might be lurking in the background is a little bit of grieving. This might be a little bit of heartbreak that you might be just kind of going in and out of. When we're going through significant change and we're processing and purging a lot of the old, it can just feel a little sad. And it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to honor those feelings and those situations and those relationships and those people and, have compassion for those things and feel the hurt and the pain of those, recognize them. It's important to recognize them so that you can really understand how they made you feel. You can understand how people made you feel. You can understand how, heartbreaking that was and how hurtful that was. The Three of Swords can really be, just people just kind of being, people that just didn't really consider your well-being and maybe had some harsh words for you. This can be literal situations where you had to, break off relationships or situations from your life that, were once really fulfilling to you and you were really happy to have. But maybe, something happened where it just, no longer became good for you and it became, more harmful than it was good. And so in these situations, it's just saying what's hidden here in the background is, just riding through those uneasy feelings and honoring that heartbreak, honoring the fact that you were hurt. Acknowledge it. It's okay to acknowledge those things and be okay with that. That person hurt you. That situation hurt you. They should have treated you better, and it's okay to acknowledge those things, Cancer. Let's take a look at what's in the near future, what you don't see coming for March. What does Cancer not see coming for the month of March? All right, I have the Eight of Pentacles. Okay, so this might be, something that you've done a lot of work. This is saying recognize yourself for the work that you've put into this process. This has been a process where you've had to really shift your perception on things so that you can see things accurately for what they are. The only way that we can really get rid of old woundings and traumas in our life that still affect us, especially all the way back to childhood, is to, put in work. It's not easy to get where you are, and you should really take note of that. Take note of the fact and acknowledge how far you've come, how much time and energy this has really taken for you to purge and, purify yourself and get into a better mind space and heart space so that you can then have hope for the future and move forward. This Eight of Pentacles is also indicative of finding joy in your life. This can be you finding a new activity, a new hobby, a new job, a new side hustle, a new, project, maybe getting a new certificate, going back to school. This can really be a variety of things that it's saying that in the month of March, what you don't see coming is you might actually open yourself up to something completely new and that you take a moment to really see how far you've come, Cancer. So I'm going to leave it here for you. This is for the month of March. I hope you found this reading helpful. And until I see you the next time, Cancer, take care.